Hello friends, welcome to the Night Doorbell. I am John Davis. I telling a suspense horror story. Please use headphones and keep silence. This story's title is Whispers from the Shadows. In the heart of the secluded village of Wiltford, nestled between ancient woods and rolling hills, a chilling secret lurked. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the moon ascended to its throne, the village transformed into a realm of eerie whispers that slipped from the shadows. For generations, the villagers had spoken in hushed tones about the mysterious phenomenon. The old would tell the young cautionary tales, warning them not to wander alone at night, for the shadows held secrets that only the bravest souls dared to discover. Emily, a curious and adventurous soul, had always been drawn to the mysteries that cloaked her village. With her raven-black hair and eyes as deep as the night, she often stood out among the fair-haired villagers. Yet, her appearance was not what made her different. It was her unrelenting desire to uncover the truth. One moonlit night, when the whispers seemed to seep from every crevice, Emily couldn't resist the pull any longer. Armed with a lantern and a heart full of determination, she ventured into the woods that surrounded the village. Her footfalls were soft against the earth, and the wind carried the melody of rustling leaves. The woods, however, held their breath as if waiting for her arrival. As Emily ventured deeper, the trees seemed to stretch their gnarled fingers toward her, casting eerie silhouettes against the ground. The darkness felt alive, as if it held secrets waiting to be shared. She found herself drawn toward a faint glow, deep within the woods, like a moth to a flame. Following the glow, she stepped into a small clearing, where the moonlight filtered through the branches, casting an otherworldly radiance. In the center of the clearing stood an ancient tree, its bark etched with symbols long forgotten. The whispers grew louder, surrounding Emily like a haunting choir. Trembling, she set down her lantern, her heart racing with a mixture of awe and trepidation. And then, from the shadows, emerged a figure. Tall and draped in darkness, it seemed to be formed from the very night itself. Its eyes glowed like twin orbs of pale fire, fixed on Emily. She felt a shiver run down her spine, a mixture of fear and fascination. The whispers intensified, swirling around her like a tempest, each voice carrying a tale of sorrow and longing. "Who are you?" Emily managed to whisper, her voice barely audible over the cacophony of whispers. The shadowy figure remained silent, but its eyes held a sadness that seemed to transcend time. In that moment, Emily felt a connection, as if the figure's pain was somehow intertwined with her own. She took a step closer, drawn by an unexplainable empathy. As if in response, the whispers began to coalesce, forming words that echoed in her mind. "We are the forgotten, the ones lost to time. Trapped between worlds, our stories unheard, our pain unshared." Emily's heart ached as she realized the truth. These were the voices of those who had once lived in the village, who had suffered and perished, and yet were unable to move on. Their spirits were bound to the shadows, their tales of love, loss, and tragedy echoing through the ages. With tears in her eyes, Emily extended her hand toward the shadowy figure. "I will listen," she vowed. "I will share your stories, so that you may find peace." The figure's eyes flickered with a mixture of surprise and gratitude. The whispers seemed to soften, as if touched by her sincerity. And so, Emily spent hours in the clearing, listening to the tales of the forgotten, their voices mingling with the wind that whispered through the trees. As dawn approached, the figure began to fade, its form dissolving into the first light of day. The whispers grew faint, like the echoes of a distant dream. Emily knew that her encounter was coming to an end, but she also knew that the promise she had made would endure. Returning to the village, Emily shared the stories she had heard with the villagers. She wrote them down, preserving the memories of those who had long been silenced. And as the tales were told and retold, the whispers that had once been haunting became a cherished connection to the past. Over time, the shadows in Wiltford began to change. No longer did they carry a sense of foreboding. Instead, they seemed to hold a gentle embrace. The villagers no longer shuttered their windows or locked their doors at night. Instead, they welcomed the whispers, knowing that they carried the voices of their ancestors, forever woven into the fabric of their lives. And as for Emily, she continued to listen. She became the bridge between the worlds, ensuring that the stories of the forgotten were never truly lost. Each night, she would visit the clearing, the ancient tree standing as a sentinel between the realms of the living and the shadows. In the end, Emily understood that the whispers from the shadows were not a curse, but a gift. They were a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the power of empathy and the bonds of shared stories could illuminate the path toward healing and connection. As the years passed, Emily's dedication to the forgotten spirits only deepened. She became known as the Whisperer of Wiltford, a title bestowed upon her by the villagers who had once feared the shadows. She dedicated herself to ensuring that the stories of the past were not only preserved, but also learned from. With the villagers' support, Emily established a small museum at the heart of Wiltford. Within its walls, she carefully curated artifacts and writings that told the tales of those who had been bound to the shadows. The museum became a place of reverence, where visitors could learn about the village's history and the stories of its inhabitants, both living and departed. The museum also became a center for community gatherings. On moonlit nights, villagers would gather in the clearing where Emily had first encountered the shadowy figure. A small bonfire would cast its warm glow, and Emily would share the stories she had learned, her voice carrying the weight of the past. The whispers from the shadows seemed to dance in the air, mingling with the crackle of the flames. One autumn evening, as Emily stood before the gathering, a stranger appeared on the outskirts of the clearing. He was tall and cloaked in darkness, much like the figure she had encountered years before. But his eyes held a glimmer of curiosity rather than the sorrowful gaze she remembered. Approaching Emily, the stranger introduced himself as Daniel. He spoke of his travels, his fascination with folklore, and his desire to learn more about the whispers that had drawn him to Wiltford. Emily, ever the storyteller, regaled him with tales of the forgotten spirits and the transformation of the village. Intrigued, Daniel spent days exploring the museum, reading the writings and studying the artifacts. He marveled at the way the past had been woven into the present, and he found himself drawn to the stories as if they were threads connecting him to a tapestry of humanity. As the weeks turned into months, Emily and Daniel forged a deep bond. Their shared passion for preserving history and honoring the voices of the past created a connection that neither of them had expected. Together, they continued to unravel the mysteries of Wiltford, uncovering forgotten legends and untold tales. With Daniel's help, the museum expanded its reach beyond the village. They collaborated on a book that compiled the stories of the forgotten spirits, along with the history of Wiltford itself. The book became a bestseller, capturing the hearts of readers around the world and shining a light on the power of empathy and connection. Over time, the village of Wiltford transformed into a haven of unity and understanding. People from all walks of life were drawn to its history, its stories, and the sense of belonging that permeated the air. The whispers from the shadows were no longer just a local legend. They had become a beacon of hope that transcended boundaries, and as for Emily and Daniel, they remained inseparable. Their love for each other grew, as did their dedication to the museum and the stories it held. They stood together on moonlit nights, sharing the tales that had once been silenced, knowing that their commitment to the past was shaping a future of compassion and connection. In the end, the village of Wiltford had transformed from a place of fear and mystery into a living testament to the power of embracing the shadows. The whispers that had once chilled the villagers' hearts now warmed their spirits, reminding them that the past was not something to be feared, but something to be learned from, cherished, and shared. And as long as Emily and Daniel stood as guardians of the stories, the whispers from the shadows would continue to weave their magic, connecting generations and bridging the gap between the seen and the unseen. The passing years saw the village of Wiltford become a renowned destination for those seeking connection with history and the supernatural. Visitors from far and wide flocked to the museum, drawn by the allure of the whispers from the shadows. The village inn, once desolate after dusk, now thrived as a place where travelers shared their own tales, embracing the spirit of unity that Emily and Daniel had fostered. Emily and Daniel's work continued to bear fruit. They organized storytelling festivals that brought together people from different cultures and backgrounds, celebrating the art of narrative and its power to bridge gaps. The museum's collections grew as visitors contributed their own stories, creating a living archive of shared experiences. Their love story, too, flourished. The connection that had ignited in the clearing where the shadowy figure had appeared had blossomed into a deep and lasting love. Emily and Daniel's partnership embodied the harmony of past and present, their shared journey a testament to the ability of empathy and understanding to forge unbreakable bonds. As the village flourished, so did the whispers from the shadows. No longer bound by sorrow, the spirits that had once lingered in darkness now found solace in the stories they had shared. The whispers became a melodic backdrop to village life, a constant reminder that the past was ever present, shaping the lives of those who walked its paths. In the heart of the museum, a special exhibit was dedicated to the shadowy figure who had first whispered to Emily. Through research and collaboration, they discovered that the figure was a spirit named Elara, a young woman who had tragically perished while trying to save her family from a devastating fire many generations ago. Elara's story, once confined to the shadows, was now etched into the annals of history, a beacon of resilience and courage. As Emily and Daniel aged, they knew that their time was limited, but they were determined to ensure the continuity of their legacy. They began mentoring a new generation of storytellers, passing on their knowledge and passion. The villagers, once hesitant about the shadows, now embraced them, knowing that they held the wisdom of generations and the souls of their ancestors. On a quiet evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the moon ascended to its throne, Emily and Daniel stood hand in hand by the ancient tree in the clearing. The whispers from the shadows surrounded them, a chorus of voices that had become dear companions over the years. I often wonder, Daniel mused, his eyes fixed on the shifting patterns of light and darkness, if the whispers will continue even after we're gone. Emily smiled, her gaze gentle. I believe they will. As long as there are stories to tell, as long as there are those who listen and share, the whispers will endure. And so, with the moon casting its silvery glow, Emily and Daniel added their own stories to the tapestry of Wiltford. Their lives, intertwined with the village's history and the spirits that resided in the shadows, became part of the eternal narrative, a testament to the power of empathy, love, and the unbreakable bond between the living and the departed. As they walked back to the village, the whispers from the shadows continued to echo in the air, a gentle reminder that the past, present, and future were forever connected, woven together by the threads of human experience. And so, in Wiltford, the whispers whispered on, carrying the tales of those who had once been lost to time, a symphony of voices that would never fade away. The years passed, leaving behind a legacy of unity and understanding in the village of Wiltford. Emily and Daniel's story, along with the stories of the forgotten spirits, had become woven into the very fabric of the village's identity. Their love story, their dedication to history, and their unyielding belief in the power of connection had transformed Wiltford into a place unlike any other. As Emily and Daniel entered their twilight years, the village remained a bustling hub of activity. The museum had grown beyond its walls, embracing modern technology to share the whispers from the shadows with the world. Virtual tours and interactive exhibits allow people from across the globe to experience the magic of Wiltford's stories. A new generation of storytellers had emerged, carrying on Emily and Daniel's mission. The village had become a training ground for those who wanted to learn the art of preserving history and sharing the voices of the past. The clearing where Emily had first encountered the shadowy figure had become a place of pilgrimage, a space where people gathered to pay homage to the legacy that had been created. As the village flourished, Emily and Daniel found solace in the knowledge that their work would continue long after they were gone. They had no fear of the inevitable, for they had witnessed the power of stories to transcend time and boundaries. Their love had grown deeper with each passing year, a testament to the enduring bond they shared. One serene evening, as the sun cast a warm golden glow over the village, Emily and Daniel sat on a bench in the heart of Wiltford. Their hands were entwined, their eyes reflecting the tapestry of memories they had woven together. Do you ever think about the first time we encountered the whispers? Emily asked, her voice a gentle murmur. Daniel nodded, a fond smile on his lips. Of course. It feels like a lifetime ago, and yet, it's as vivid as if it happened yesterday. Emily leaned her head on Daniel's shoulder. I'm grateful for that night. It changed everything. It brought us together, Daniel agreed. And it gave us a purpose that has enriched our lives beyond measure. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a canvas of pinks and purples across the sky, Emily and Daniel closed their eyes, listening to the whispers that swirled around them. The voices were no longer haunting. They were a chorus of companions who had become a part of their journey. In that moment of serenity, as the village embraced the coming night and the stars began to twinkle, Emily and Daniel felt a sense of completion. Their story had intertwined with Wiltford's history, and the two had become inseparable. Their love, their dedication, and their unbreakable bond had transcended time, casting a radiant glow that illuminated the hearts of all who walked the village's paths. And as the whispers from the shadows continued to weave their magic, Emily and Daniel leaned into each other, knowing that their tale, like those of the forgotten spirits, would live on, carried by the winds of time and shared by those who believed in the enduring power of stories. In the quiet village of Wiltford, Emily and Daniel's presence became a comforting constant as the years marched on. Their love story was whispered about just as much as the legends of the forgotten spirits. With the passing of time, they became more than just individuals. They became symbols of hope, symbols of the village's transformation from a place of shadows to a beacon of light. As they aged gracefully, their commitment to the village never wavered. The museum continued to thrive, and their mentorship of new storytellers flourished. Every moonlit night, the villagers would gather around the bonfire in the clearing, listening to the tales that bridged generations. It was a nightly reminder of the threads that bound them all together, a reminder that the past was not something to be hidden away, but something to be celebrated. Emily and Daniel found solace in the rhythm of life in Wiltford. They reveled in the beauty of the changing seasons, the laughter of children as they played in the streets, and the camaraderie of the villagers who had once been hesitant neighbors. Their love had become a testament to the healing power of empathy, and their devotion to preserving stories had left an indelible mark on the village's identity. One crisp autumn evening, as leaves rustled underfoot and the air carried a hint of wood smoke, Emily and Daniel found themselves back in the clearing where their journey had begun. The ancient tree stood as steadfast as ever, its branches reaching toward the sky like gnarled fingers tracing the passage of time. Daniel gazed at Emily, his eyes filled with a mixture of admiration and contentment. Look how far we've come. Emily smiled, her eyes reflecting the dancing flames of the bonfire. Yes, it's been quite a journey. They settled onto the same bench where they had sat countless times before, watching as the villagers began to gather around the fire. Children clung to their parents, faces illuminated by the warm glow, while older villagers shared knowing glances and offered friendly nods. As the fire crackled and the stars above winked into existence, Emily began to speak. Her voice carried the weight of all the stories she had ever heard, all the tales she had shared, and all the moments that had shaped her life. Tonight, as we gather beneath the stars, let us remember that we are connected by more than just time and place, Emily said, her words carrying to every corner of the clearing. We are connected by the stories we tell, by the memories we hold, and by the love that binds us together. The villagers listened in rapt attention, their hearts open to the message that Emily and Daniel had spent their lives embodying. Our lives are like the whispers from the shadows, Daniel added, his voice a gentle harmony to Emily's. They are fleeting, but they leave an imprint that can be felt for generations to come. As the night deepened, the bonfire's flames painted a tapestry of light and shadow, casting a warm and welcoming embrace over the gathering. The stories flowed like a river, carrying with them the essence of the village, the spirits, and the journey that had transformed it all. And as Emily and Daniel sat side by side, hands intertwined, they knew that their story was not yet complete. Their love had become a part of the village's narrative, an integral thread in the tapestry of Wiltford's history. They gazed out at the faces illuminated by the fire, knowing that the legacy they had built would continue to inspire, to connect, and to shine as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit had the power to transform shadows into whispers of hope, love, and unity. As the night continued, the stories flowed like a river, intertwining with the crackling of the fire and the rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. The villagers took turns sharing their own tales, stories of courage, love, and triumph. It was a celebration of life, a celebration of the shared human experience that connected them all. Amidst the storytelling, Emily and Daniel found themselves lost in the moment, their hearts swelling with gratitude for the life they had lived and the community they had helped build. The firelight flickered across their faces, casting a soft, warm glow that mirrored the contentment they felt within. As the last story came to an end and the bonfire's embers began to fade, a hush settled over the clearing. The villagers gazed into the dying flames, each lost in their own thoughts, each carrying with them the essence of the stories that had been shared. Finally, a voice rose from the quiet. It was a young girl, her eyes bright with curiosity and her voice carrying the weight of generations yet to come. "Will the whispers always be here?" she asked, her gaze shifting from the fire to the shadows that surrounded them. Emily and Daniel exchanged a knowing glance, and then Emily spoke, her voice gentle and reassuring. "Yes, dear one. The whispers will always be here, for as long as there are stories to tell and hearts to listen." The girl's eyes widened, a smile tugging at the corners of her lips. And as the villagers began to disperse, their faces illuminated by the moonlight, Emily and Daniel remained on the bench, watching as the clearing gradually emptied. "They'll carry the stories forward, won't they?" Daniel mused, his voice soft as a whisper itself. Emily nodded, her gaze fixed on the stars above. "Yes, just as we did. Our stories will become a part of their stories, and so the tapestry will continue to grow." As the night deepened and the village settled into slumber, Emily and Daniel remained in the clearing a while longer. Their hands remained entwined, their hearts connected not only to each other but to the village, to the spirits, and to the stories that had woven them all together. And so, beneath the watchful gaze of the moon and the quiet rustle of the trees, they sat in silence, a testament to the enduring power of stories, the unbreakable bond of love, and the whispers from the shadows that would forever echo through time. In the years that followed, Emily and Daniel's presence in the village continued to be a source of inspiration and guidance. Their story, interwoven with the history of Wiltford and the spirits that had once lingered in the shadows, lived on in the hearts of the villagers. The legacy they had created evolved and expanded, touching lives far beyond the village's boundaries. The museum they had built became a hub of research and learning, attracting scholars, artists, and seekers of knowledge from around the world. The tales of the forgotten spirits, along with Emily and Daniel's journey, were preserved in written form, art, and digital media, ensuring that their impact would resonate through generations. As Emily and Daniel aged gracefully, they spent their days sharing stories with the new storytellers who had emerged from the village. These eager apprentices continued the tradition of gathering by the bonfire in the clearing, passing down the stories that had become a cherished part of Wiltford's culture. Emily and Daniel watched with pride as the flames of storytelling burned brightly, casting their light into the hearts of the young and old alike. One particularly magical evening, as the village prepared for a storytelling festival that would draw people from all over, Emily and Daniel found themselves sitting on a bench near the museum. The air was alive with anticipation, and the stars twinkled above like a celestial audience. "Can you believe how far we've come?" Emily said, her voice a gentle reflection of her awe. Daniel smiled, his gaze fixed on the museum's entrance. "It's a testament to the power of stories, of shared experiences. Our journey became a part of the village's journey, and now it's become a part of the world's." As the festival unfolded, the village was transformed into a tapestry of colors, sounds, and emotions. People from all walks of life gathered to celebrate the art of storytelling, to listen and to be heard. The clearing, once a quiet and hidden space, became a stage where voices echoed, laughter resonated, and tears flowed freely. Underneath the starlit sky, Emily and Daniel stood before the bonfire, their hands clasped together. The flames danced in their eyes, a reflection of the passion that had fueled their lives. "We were once drawn to the whispers from the shadows," Daniel began, his voice carrying to every corner of the clearing. "And now, those whispers have transformed into a symphony of voices that connect us all." Emily continued, her words a continuation of the story they had lived. "We learned that even in the darkest of times, there is light to be found. Even in the shadows, there are stories waiting to be shared." The festival continued late into the night, the bonfire's glow illuminating faces filled with wonder and enchantment. The stories flowed like a river, transcending time and boundaries, bringing people together in a tapestry of shared humanity. As the festival came to an end and the embers of the bonfire began to fade, the villagers lingered, their spirits uplifted by the magic of the evening. Emily and Daniel stood once more on the bench, gazing out at the clearing and the village they had helped shape. "Do you think the whispers are proud of what we've accomplished?" Emily asked, her voice a soft murmur. Daniel looked at her, his expression filled with warmth. "I'd like to believe that they are. Our journey began with their whispers, and now those whispers have become a force of connection, of healing." With a final glance at the clearing, the couple turned and walked away, their steps steady and their hearts full. As they disappeared into the night, their presence lingered, a reminder that even in the passage of time, their love, their stories, and the whispers from the shadows would forever echo, carrying their message of unity, hope, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Years turned into decades, and the village of Wiltford continued to thrive as a living testament to the transformative power of stories. The museum that Emily and Daniel had established became a global center for history, culture, and empathy. People traveled from every corner of the world to immerse themselves in the tales of the forgotten spirits, to learn from the past, and to find solace in the threads that bound humanity together. The storytelling festivals that Emily and Daniel had initiated became annual traditions that attracted thousands of attendees. The village, once known for its haunting whispers, now resonated with the laughter, music, and shared experiences of people who had embraced the spirit of connection. It was a time for celebration, reflection, and the weaving of new stories into the ever-growing tapestry of Wiltford's history. As Emily and Daniel entered their twilight years, their presence remained a guiding light. They became revered elders, sought after for their wisdom and the unique perspective they offered on the passage of time. Their love, their journey, and their dedication to preserving the past had left an indelible mark not only on the village, but on the world beyond. One poignant evening, as the villagers prepared for another storytelling festival, Emily and Daniel found themselves once again by the ancient tree in the clearing. The tree, like them, had weathered the years with grace, its branches reaching upward toward the stars. "I can't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude," Emily said, her voice carrying the weight of countless memories. Daniel nodded, his gaze fixed on the moonlit clearing. "We've been given the privilege of witnessing the impact that stories can have, of seeing how they can unite people and shape the course of history." The festival commenced, and the clearing came alive with voices, music, and the flickering of lanterns. People of all ages gathered to share their stories, their laughter, and their dreams. The bonfire blazed at the center, casting a warm and inviting glow over the festivities. As the night unfolded, Emily and Daniel took their place by the bonfire, their hands clasped together. The flames mirrored the passion that still burned within them, the flames of a love that had defied time and the flames of a commitment that had changed lives. "We've come full circle," Emily began, her voice carrying the wisdom of a life well lived. "The whispers from the shadows led us to this very moment, where we stand surrounded by the echoes of countless stories." Daniel gazed at the faces illuminated by the firelight, a sense of awe in his eyes. "And each of these stories contributes to the symphony of humanity. We are all connected through the narratives we weave." As the night grew deeper, the festival reached its crescendo. The bonfire's flames danced higher, casting a radiant glow that seemed to touch the very stars above. The stories flowed, binding hearts and spirits, just as they had always done. As the festival eventually wound down and the embers of the bonfire faded, the villagers dispersed, their hearts filled with a sense of togetherness and belonging. Emily and Daniel remained by the dying fire, gazing out at the clearing. "Do you think our story will be remembered?" Daniel asked, his voice soft with contemplation. Emily smiled, her eyes reflecting the flames that had lit up the night. "Our story, like all stories, will find its way into the hearts of those who listen. It will become a part of the collective memory, a thread in the grand tapestry of human experience." With one last glance at the clearing, Emily and Daniel turned and walked away, their footsteps a soft echo in the night. As they disappeared into the darkness, their presence lingered, a reminder that love, connection, and the power of stories could transform even the deepest shadows into whispers of hope and unity. And so, the legacy they had built lived on, carried by the winds of time, resonating through the hearts of generations yet to come. In the years that followed, Emily and Daniel's influence continued to ripple through the fabric of Wiltford and beyond. Their stories, their love, and their dedication to preserving history became immortalized in the annals of both the village and the broader world. The museum they had built remained a source of inspiration, education, and wonder, drawing visitors who sought to connect with the past and find solace in the shared human experience. As the village embraced modern advancements, the stories of the forgotten spirits and the transformation of Wiltford found new avenues of expression. Virtual reality exhibits allow people to step into the shoes of those who had come before, to see and feel history in ways that were once unimaginable. The clearing that had once been a hidden sanctuary had now become a gathering place for people from all walks of life, a place where the whispers from the shadows became a beacon of unity and understanding. Emily and Daniel, now in the twilight of their lives, looked back with gratitude and fulfillment. Their love had remained steadfast, their bond unbreakable, and their journey had become a symbol of the resilience of the human spirit. They watched as the generations that followed carried on their legacy, sharing stories, forging connections, and embracing the power of empathy. One summer evening, as the village prepared for a special event commemorating the impact of Emily and Daniel's journey, the couple found themselves in the clearing once more. The ancient tree stood as a silent witness to their love, its branches swaying gently in the breeze. "We've come so far, haven't we?" Emily said, her voice a soft reflection of the years that had passed. Daniel nodded, his eyes filled with a mixture of nostalgia and contentment. "Indeed. Our story became woven into the very fabric of this village, just as the stories of the forgotten spirits did." The event began, and the village was transformed into a living tribute to Emily and Daniel's legacy. The air was filled with music, laughter, and the sense of unity that they had helped foster. People from different corners of the world gathered to celebrate the impact of their journey, to honor the power of stories, and to recognize the enduring strength of love. As the festivities unfolded, Emily and Daniel took their place by the bonfire once more. The firelight flickered in their eyes, reflecting the warmth that radiated from within. "We've witnessed the transformation of Wiltford," Emily began, her voice carrying a blend of reflection and hope. "We've seen how stories have bridged gaps, how they've transformed this village into a haven of unity." Daniel smiled, his gaze fixed on the flames. "And now, it's become a place where people come not just to hear stories, but to share their own. Our journey has become part of the collective narrative." As the night wore on, the bonfire blazed higher, its flames illuminating faces filled with joy and gratitude. People took turns sharing their own stories, their voices echoing in the clearing like a chorus of connection. As the event reached its culmination, Emily and Daniel stood before the bonfire once more, their hands intertwined. The flames cast long shadows on the ground, a reminder of the stories that had once been whispers and were now woven into the fabric of the village. "We were drawn to the whispers from the shadows," Daniel began, his voice carrying the weight of a lifetime's worth of memories. "And through those whispers, we found a path that united us with the past and the present. Emily continued, her words an echo of the love that had guided them. Our journey has shown us that stories are not just words, they are bridges that connect hearts and souls. The event concluded with a sense of fulfillment that hung in the air like a gentle breeze. The villagers dispersed, their spirits lifted, their hearts connected through the shared experiences of the evening. Emily and Daniel remained by the bonfire, gazing at the dying embers. Their presence was a testament to the enduring power of love, the impact of shared stories, and the magic that resided within the human spirit. Do you think our legacy will continue? Emily asked, her voice a soft murmur in the night. Daniel turned to her, his eyes filled with a quiet certainty. As long as there are stories to be told and hearts to be touched, our legacy will endure. It will continue to shape lives, to bridge divides, and to remind people of the beauty that exists within the shadows. With one last glance at the bonfire, Emily and Daniel turned and walked away, their footsteps fading into the distance. But their presence remained, carried by the winds of time and the whispers from the shadows, a testament to the enduring power of stories, love, and the boundless potential of the human spirit.